Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Legacy Running Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Sarah, and today we are going to talk about how to win when you're in a slump. So I'm going to teach you guys some of the tools that I use and that I use with my clients to win when they're just in seasons of things not feeling great or them being injured or so on and so forth. So I'm going to go through a personal example, and then I will tell you guys how this applies to when you're an injured runner, when you're having a tough season of running and it just sucks, for lack of a better word, or really when things are not going your way. But if you guys follow me on Instagram, you have probably heard me talking about the slump that I'm in with a transition from summer to fall here in Seattle, Washington. So being in Seattle, we have the most freaking amazing summers. The sun does not go down until 10 p.m. or it's not dark out until a little bit after 10 p.m. in some of the peaks of summer, and then it rises again at 4:30 or 5 in the morning. So we just have these huge freaking days, and people come alive in the summertime here. They are asking you to come over for barbecues. There's stuff on weeknights. We were playing volleyball, soccer, whatever. I just get invited to all these random plans, and I'm like, this is so epic. And then waking up in the morning is not that hard. You're kind of groggy and tired, but when the sun has been out and peeking into your room for the last, 30 minutes, you're yeah, when the alarm goes off at 6, you're for sure, this is really no big deal. And then there's this one day every year, and I've been in Seattle for, maybe 4 years now. There's this one day every year, and I remember it literally every year, that you wake up and you're like, oh gosh, there's no way that it's 6 a.m. There's no way that it's 5:30. There's no way that it's 6:30 a.m. because it is still pitch black out. And that is the hardest day to get out of bed. I just feel so groggy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. So this year, while I have more flexibility in my schedule, I was like, I still want to win. I don't want to fall into the slump of, sleeping in until 7, sleeping until 7:30, because that's when the sun comes up. I want to have strategies in place that are going to allow me to reach my goals and not feel slumpy, even though all the circumstances are pointing to, yeah, you should totally sleep in. So what I want to walk you guys through are the tools that I'm using for myself to get out of this slump and just freaking win. And the absolute biggest thing that you guys need, and that I need personally, is vision. I need vision behind why I don't want to sleep in. So I classically wake up at 6, or my goal is to wake up at 6, and it's just really easy for me to want to sleep till 7 because that's when the sun comes up. So what is going to motivate me to get out of bed? And currently, my vision and my motivation is that I want to have bigger impact in my business. So for those of you that don't know, I help women runners with hip pain return to running pain-free through the Empower Her Hip method. And I want the testimonies of women to be so strong and apparent and everywhere, flowing from my business and from other, courses of treatment that people get to help with their hip pain, this is my mission, that no woman will ever leave the doctor's office in tears ever again from, some hip pain diagnosis. I just want every woman to walk away being like, wow, Shelly got better. Oh my gosh, Mary Jill got better. Stephanie got better. Her case was just like mine. She was just like me, and she was able to overcome it. I want to make it normalized. I want to eradicate the fear, and I want people to feel like there are so many options of what they can do. And practically, what that looks like is that I need to be ready to go to work at 8 or 9 a.m. I need to be ready to work with my first client. I need to be ready to see all my clients and then get all of my back-end admin vision, business growing stuff the rest of the day. So what it looks like is if I sleep in until 7, the morning time is my time to have, my quiet time to fill my cup. If I sleep in until 7, I know I now just have 30 minutes before I need to shower and get ready that I can fill my cup. And then when I go into my day, I'm grumbling. I'm like, wow, that person was annoying. They complained a lot. Or like, I don't want to do this, activity, or I don't want to like record this podcast because I didn't get the time to fill my cup. So that's my vision. Like, I want to grow my business. And with that, I need my personal self to be overflowing with joy and with peace and like just satisfaction in being myself to be able to grow my business. So that's my vision, and that's the thing that gets me out of bed. So now I have that, and then it's like, okay, what other tools do I need? In that time in the morning, I specifically want to do 30 minutes personal development. So for me, that looks like reading my Bible. That looks like journaling. That looks like meditating, doing visionary activities, praying, something of that sort. And then I also want to work out in the morning. And I want to have a really, really awesome plan that I can use during that time to like make the most of it, and also make getting out of bed enticing enough to want to get out of bed even though it's dark outside. So with that, my first tool is guidance. I need someone that's going to kind of guide me in that process. For my personal development time, I actually just had a class last night that I went to at my church, and this man came in and taught us how to spend time doing personal development work. And I was like, great, I'm going to use this as a template. And then I go right into my workout, and I either am running or I'm following an app that she's telling me literally exactly the moves that I need to do to strength train, to make my body stronger, to feel really good. So guidance is my number one tool that I use after vision, and that really allows me to not be confused with what I'm doing. And then also it allows me to have people that are experts in my field of doing what I'm doing and what I want to get out of it, like speak things into me that are going to allow me to have the best experience and get the most out of it. So number one, guidance. Number two, I want to have a plan. And I will say, like, I'm going to say 4 different tools. You don't need all of these tools, but there's going to be some that are more helpful for you, and there's going to be some that are less helpful for you. So I'll kind of go through that. But guidance is number 1, plan is number 2. My loose plan is that I want to spend 30 minutes doing personal development and anywhere from like 45 to an hour working out. That's my plan. Keep it simple. Like, keep it so simple that a 3rd grader can understand it and follow it. When you wake up in the morning, you're groggy. When I wake up in the morning and I'm groggy, I'm like, okay, I want to be able to go and know exactly what I do. So that's my plan. I'm going to stick with it. The next thing is tools. So for me, I don't like to have a lot of tools. I don't like to have a ton of things that complicate things. I'm not a very techie person. I don't want to have, like a certain spreadsheet that I need to fill out, and I don't know, like all of these different gadgets and whatnot. But what I need is a space to sit down, Bible, journal, stuff to write on and work with. And then for my exercise piece of it, I have my gym that I go to or my running route, just things that are going to help me with my general process. So I would say truly for me, like the plan and tools, I just keep those really, really simple. The thing that I value really, truly a lot is accountability. So for me to be able to do this and stick with it, I told my husband, I said, I want to get up at 6 a.m. I want to do 30 minutes and then go do my exercise and then get to my clients. And he's sleeping right there. It's like if I'm snoozing until 7, he's gonna be like, why aren't you saying what you said why aren't you doing what you said you're gonna do? I have that added piece of accountability. I also have a couple girlfriends that we are all in this together. So we actually just planned this out last night, that we were like, oh my gosh, we want to be really on it with our personal time and we want to beat this fall slump. And one of the girls was like, I'm gonna wake up at 4 in the morning because she starts work super early, and she's like, I do my time best in the morning. She's like, I'm gonna wake up at 4, and the other girl was like, I think 5 is probably best for me. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna see you guys at 6. And we have started testing each other. So we just say, hey, good morning, or hey, I'm up, and it just gives me this like sense of, okay, I'm not in this alone, and if I don't show up, someone's going to miss me. Or if I don't, when I'm like contemplating, should I snooze another time? I'm like, oh, there's these people that are holding me accountable to the goals that I want. And To this point, I would say I've done this for about, 3 weeks now. I was sick 1 week, so that was not really a winning week. But I've already seen so much fruit. I have really not had a day that I am grumbly when I'm talking to clients. And I can totally tell because my patient gets so thin, or I just am like, I don't want to do these tasks. I just feel so full. And then at the end of the day, when I'm done with work, it's like I'm not trying to fit in working out or doing my quiet time or anything like that. So that's me. How do these tools fit into winning if you're in a slump, if you're in a season of being injured, if you're in a season of exercising, exercising and running just isn't feeling great? So listen in. These are huge. I'm going to give you my biggest tips that I use for my clients and how they are winning with hip pain, how they're getting out of hip pain and getting back to running comfortably and confidently. So not unlike me, y'all need great vision. You literally need something that is going to be such a big goal for you that when things get hard, you're not like, it's fine, whatever. I actually don't really care that much. That is truly why I work with runners, because I want people that are so hungry for a goal as opposed to, I don't know, my doctor just told me to be here. When I used to work in, we'll just say corporate America, private practice physical therapy, really that was the biggest, those were my hardest patients, is the people that I would say, what's your goal? Because for insurance, we have to type out goals. And they would say, I don't have any goals. Like my insurance told me, or my surgeon told me that I need to come here. I would ask them, like, what's your goal? And they're like, I don't know, just to be out of pain. And like, that's not motivating enough. Like, you need something that you are striving for, that when things are uncomfortable, you're going to work and put in the work rather than just maybe take a pain medication. And I'm not saying that's the easy way out, but I need great vision for the people that I work with, and I want you to have great vision, because when it's hard to get out of bed, when it's hard to do your exercises, when it's hard to make the choice to say no to something that is going to aggravate your hip pain, knee pain, whatever, you need to be like, my goal is that I want to run the New York City Marathon, rather than my goal is to get out of pain. And I could just go for this run right now with my girlfriends and then take an Advil later, whatever, no big deal. But if you're looking at that greater vision, like, I want to run the New York City Marathon, and your girlfriends ask you to go for a run that you know is going to bother your hip, you're like, okay, I'm not going to do it, because my vision is big. So number one thing, create big vision for what you want to do comfortably and confidently in terms of running. The next thing is guidance. So guys, this one is, I'm so passionate about this. If you have great vision, get off of Facebook. Get off of asking your neighbor who went through the same thing, what exercises they did for their hip. Get off of, portals and information sources that are telling you that you will never get better, that you should never run again. Like, just reach out to someone that is a professional in this area. You can literally call a physical therapy office and say, hello, whatever, do you have someone that works with runners, special, and that like knows hips and that knows knees, or has success with people that are runners and have had hip pain and then now they're back to running with? Like, do you have someone that specializes in that? Because you know what, guys? I'm not even going to lie to you. When I first started working as a physical therapist, I did not know how to treat people with hip pain. I literally didn't. And I had every intention of, asking my coworkers for help and whatnot, but life gets busy. And there's going to be times where I didn't have time to ask people. And those people just kind of slipped through the cracks. And I was like, I didn't really actually know how to get you better. So I'm sorry that you came here. Like, seek out guidance. Going to just any person might not be enough. Maybe it is. Maybe you'll get lucky and things will get better, but maybe it won't. So seek out guidance really from someone who's trained professional. Honest to goodness, if you message me, all my information is in the show notes, how to contact me. I would be more than happy to be the person that helps you, or to help you find the person that helps you. Seriously. Next is accountability. So if you have a goal, like if you're like, hey, I have hip pain and it's just been bothering me, and you your goal for this period of time is to just reach out to, you want to like reach out to a physical therapist, tell someone, like tell one of your friends and say, or your husband or your partner or whatever, and say, hey, I have this thing going on, like I really want to nip it in the bud. And just tell them. That initial telling them is going to hold so much weight because you're going to be so much more likely to actually do it once you get it off your lips and get it off your heart and tell someone. From there, that person is likely going to circle back with you and say, have you done that thing? Like it's like with me and my girlfriends. If I'm like, hey, like, if they're like, hey, Sarah, we haven't seen you in the group text a couple of days, be like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, I, just forgot to text, or like, oh shoot, sorry, like I've actually been sleeping in. The accountability is huge. Then, once you're actually in a program, so let's say you're working with a physical therapist, you're like working with a strength coach, you're working with a run coach, how much accountability do you need? Do you need someone that is going to, check in with you every week and say, hey, have you been doing your program? And someone that will actually know? Or are you fine with going to a clinic that's super, super busy and like you see your therapist for 10 minutes and, you kind of work with the aide and they don't really care if you're doing your stuff or not? Like, where are you at on that spectrum? Do you need like attentive care to make sure that you're doing it even when things get busy and even when things get hard? Or will you still be okay if you are in an environment that's super busy and maybe has a little bit less individualized care? You have to ask that for yourself. Up next is tools. And this is something that I love working with my clients on. A lot of people have this misconception that when you're rehabbing from an injury, when you're trying to get back to running comfortably, you need all of these things. Like you need the Garmin and you need, a whole gym access and you need all of the time in the world, and it's going to take 2 to 3 hours a day, and you need a BOSU ball and you need all stuff. Like, I have seen so many of my friends go through these bouts of physical therapy where they've bought all of this equipment. They had to do hours of, PT per week. And I'm like, it is just so daunting to have to take all of that out. So one of my favorite things about the Empower Her Hip program is that I love giving you tools that you have access to. So as far as equipment, I have a patient who literally told me, Sarah, I have 8 to 15 minutes every other morning that I will give you. That's all I can give you outside of running, and my program has to fit into that. And I said, wonderful. We are going to make the most nimble, concise program for you. We are going to make everything, fit to what you have access to first thing in the morning. And she just ran her half marathon pain-free. She just crushed it. Like, you don't need a ton of stuff to have success, but you do need someone who is going to listen to what you have available to you, and allow you to meet your goals with the tools that you have. Another side note I will say is I do think time is a tool. Like, some people have hours. I don't have kids. I work for myself. I have a lot of free time that I can allot to different things. And in this season of life, like if I really wanted to do something, I could put a lot of time to it. When I have kids and they're in sports and all of this stuff, like that time is going to go down, and I need someone that's going to understand that and make it work for me. So let your tools work for you and not against you. And then last thing is just come up with a plan. Like, honestly, like if you go back to my example of the morning time, like I want to have that kind of like personal, individualized time to fill my cup. And my plan is 2-part. I'm going to do quiet time and I'm going to work out. That's all. That's all I need. I just have a really simple plan. For you and for my clients, what I love to do is say, hey, every other day you're going to do these exercises. They're going to take anywhere from 8 to 30 minutes. And as time goes on, maybe that will get less because we're going to increase the intensity. Or maybe it'll get more because you'll have like a mobility day, and then you'll have a strength day, and a recovery day, and whatever that looks like. But having a plan is going to be the easiest way to allow someone to keep you accountable and then guide you in that process. So those are really the 5 tools that I use when I'm working with myself and then working with my clients. We need great vision. We need guidance, proper guidance from an expert. I want accountability to keep you accountable to the things that you said you were going to do. Tools that work within what you have, and then an awesome, awesome plan. And I will say, I think that there's a lot of talk. Like, there's a lot of talkers out there. There are a lot of people that are like, I would love to do this thing. Like, they're like, they have dreams, but there's very few action takers. My final example is like, I have a dream. Like, I have a desire to be good at like some Olympic lifts, like Olympic weightlifting. Like, I think it is so cool. I think it's so fun. But I am not really like pained by not being able to do it. Like, I do some of the lifts in my programming, but the fact that I can't do all of them or that my form isn't like amazing doesn't really bother me that much. And therefore, I'm not really in pain, or I don't really have great vision to seek out expert coaching to allow me to reach that goal. I have really no desire to use those tools to get to my goal because my vision really isn't that big. So it's kind of just like this subtle dream that I'm like, that would be nice, but I'm not super motivated to do it. Conversely, this is a little vulnerable here, I have a huge desire to do a 50K. I want to do a 50K trail race, and there's vision behind this. I want to do this trail race before I have kids. And I see the future, and I probably am not going to have time to train for a 50K trail race when I have, infants and toddlers running around. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I don't think my body is going to be in the like capacity and shape to want to do that, to have the same desire that I do that. So like, I look at the future and I'm like, okay, there's desire, like there's pain and there's drive behind that goal to actually allow me to use the tools to create the plan that I want. So very, like true to what I've been talking about, I'm creating a plan for building my base and figuring out how to ramp up to the 50K pace. I have a girlfriend that's like gonna run it with me, hopefully, and she's keeping me accountable for like finding the race that I want to do, so on and so forth. I'm like seeking out guidance of who is gonna help me with this, what plan am I gonna use, so on and so forth, and then using the tools that I have found along the way to allow me to get there. So I hope that that was helpful. I hope that you can take away some of those tools and apply them to maybe a rehab, apply them to getting out of an injury, or even stuff that is outside of running. But if you guys have any questions or want to learn more about the Empower Hit program, or want to learn more about what it looks like working with me, or you just want like help and guidance on what you're going through, feel free to reach out. All my contact info is below. If you want to set up a call, just make one at strategywithsarah.com. Thanks, guys. Hope you have a great rest of your day.